Hi, my name is Dr. Sanjay Bodraj. I'm a cardiologist and founder of the Well12 program. Thank you so much for being here today, and I would love to run you through an overview of what the Well12 program is, and more specifically, what it can do for you. So let's get on it. So, Well12 is a 12-week wellness journey to become a better version of you. I designed it really for the busy professional, for anyone between the ages of 30 and 100, to really focus on diet, lifestyle, sleep, stress, factors that have maximum impact to really affect and improve your health. So, are you someone who's potentially dealing with low energy, poor sleep, racing thoughts, pain, inflammation, hormone imbalances, or sluggish metabolism? Isn't that most of us? If you remember, this image is from an old 80s commercial for Calgon. How many of you, raise your hands, you remember the Calgon Take Me Away Mom? This poor woman was just stressed to the brink, and all she wanted was 5 minutes of peace from her family. And she couldn't even get that. So this idea of a modern lifestyle, multitasking, all these things, existed 40 years ago, and I bet it existed 4,000 years ago. It's just that now, with technology, with cars, with the internet, all these things, we don't have any downtime, and it leads to serious problems. Now, when we think about those symptoms, that's one thing, but as we broaden our scope, actually looking at medical diagnoses, things like heart disease, things like cancer, things like stroke, lung issues, neck issues, artery issues, joint issues, all of these have an underlying underpinning of inflammation as the source of the problem. And of course, in the conventional medicine universe, when we think of inflammation, we think of something bad. And what do? We throw these nuclear weapons at it. We throw steroids, we throw antibodies, we throw all of these things at these conditions, when in fact, dealing with inflammation and treating inflammation starts with improving your habits, improving your lifestyle, and improving your diet. Now, I'm not going to get too sciencey in the course of our discussion today, but this was one of the studies that really changed my view of medicine, and more particularly changed my view of how we should be approaching health. This was a study published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 2016 that looked at 38 genes associated with cardiovascular risk. So if you had 38 out of 38 of these, you had a very high cardiac risk. If you had 0 out of 38, you had a low cardiac risk. And what the authors of the study did was put people into 3 buckets: low, intermediate, and high genetic risk. All right, which isn't surprising that the people in the high genetic risk bucket probably have the highest rate of heart disease, and the people in the lowest have the bucket of genetic issues have the lowest disease risk. But the really cool thing that they did here was they stratified people by lifestyle habits. Do you sleep? Do you exercise? Do you eat well? Do you smoke? Are you overweight? Simple, simple things. And what we saw, unsurprisingly, is if you had a high genetic risk and had crummy lifestyle habits, well, then you're going to be at the highest risk of heart disease, right? Not a surprise, 10.7% chance of a heart problem over the next 10 years. Also, if you are at the low genetic risk and you're living a great life, then you're going to have the lowest risk of cardiovascular events, 3.1%, right? But the magic happens right here in the middle, where if you look at the folks who have the high genetic risk with the best lifestyle, they are statistically indistinguishable from the people with the best genes and the best lifestyle. Now, it sounds crazy, but you actually have control over your health by the diet and the lifestyle choices that you make. So how do we use this? Well, we have to move away from this idea of conventional medicine where we have this pill for every ill kind of mentality, and now move towards getting our bodies to create their own balance. How do we help support your body to reach the state of health that it wants to have? And that's where the Well12 program comes in. Now, before we get too deep, let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. Sanjay Bodraj. I'm a doctor, I'm a cardiologist, I'm a husband, I'm a dad. I'm based here in Orange County, California, and I was an interventional cardiologist for almost 20 years. If you don't know what an interventional cardiologist is, great for you, but I was the heart attack doctor. I was the doc on the front lines of cardiovascular disease, going in, lights and sirens, guns blazing, to help people live after a major cardiac event. What I realized was that while it's awesome that we have this ability to open people's arteries up when they're blocked, we need to shift our focus and prevent them from getting blocked in the first place. How do we optimize diet? How do we optimize life to prevent heart attacks in the first place? Because one of the things I've learned is the best way to be healthy, or the best way to treat disease, is to never get it in the first place, right? And that's what Well12 is designed for. Now, in the conventional universe, I was board certified in general cardiology, in interventional cardiology, in internal medicine, and we just didn't have this framework in our training. And that's where then I advanced my training by getting certified in functional medicine, which is this new approach that helps people use diet and lifestyle to optimize their health. And it was the foundation of that functional medicine training that led me to create the Well12 program. So as an overview, the Well12 program focuses on 12 things. We try to optimize your energy, we try to optimize your metabolic health, balance your hormones, promote healthy digestion, get restful sleep, and we teach you what that means because most people don't have a clue. We try to help you optimize your stress management. Now, as a grown-up, you can't avoid stress. Sorry, can't take that away from you. But what we can do is help improve how you respond to stress. A lot of what we do is through optimizing breathing. You'll learn something about the fight or flight system and the vagus nerve in your body. And by changing the way you breathe, you can actually optimize how your body responds to stressors, and you can change your health pretty significantly. We also focus a lot on reducing inflammation. We do this through sleep. We do this through stress. But most importantly, as we'll talk about in the next few slides, we do this through diet. Right? We also have a community with Well12, so you're not on your own. And I think most of the time, if you're reading a book or you're trying some other online program, they fail because there's no sense of community. So we really plug you into a group of people who are in the same boat as you are, who are really focusing on improving their health, and we learn from each other. We teach you how to hack your circadian rhythms. So those are your body clocks. When should you eat? When should you sleep? When should you exercise, right? You might not know that. And we learn over time, and our coaches will help guide you as to how best to optimize those lifestyle factors. Body composition. So we don't use the word weight loss very frequently because what we want to do is optimize your body composition. We want to increase your muscle and decrease your fat. And this is where we differ a little bit from all those medicines that you're hearing about, those injectable medications. I won't name them by name, but a lot of times what we're seeing in patients is that they're losing not just fat, but muscle as well. In fact, recent scientific studies show that up to 60% of the weight lost is actually muscle mass. So you're losing the exact wrong thing that you don't want. You want to keep your muscle, and you want to lose the fat. Additionally, we use wearable tech, right? Everybody in the program gets a wearable device called a Whoop band that helps you track your numbers, that helps you track your sleep, that helps you track your body's stress level so that you can be the best version of yourself. But when it comes down to it, these are the three main tenets of Well12. Number one, this cardiometabolic anti-inflammatory diet. What the heck does that mean? Well, we give you foods that are not just healthy foods, but healing foods. Foods that make your body run better. Foods that help restore your health, that help you heal your body. Foods that reduce inflammation. And in that process, we improve something called your mitochondrial health. The health of these little tiny things in your body that create energy. And you'll feel energy like you haven't felt in years. Luckily, that anti-inflammatory diet is the same thing that it takes to help to reduce your cardiovascular risk, to slow down inflammation in your blood vessels that leads to atherosclerosis or blockage in your arteries, that helps reduce your blood pressure. And believe it or not, the same diet helps balance your hormones, whether you're male or female, going through menopause, after menopause, pre-menopause, a dude who just doesn't feel the same way that he does in his 20s, either any of these circumstances is improved by reducing inflammation. Next is stress optimization. Now, I said, I can't take away stress in your life, But what we can do is improve the way you respond to stress. And we do that by teaching you breath work, by giving you skills that you need to help turn down that volume knob on your anger and on your stress to let it just glide. And believe it or not, as you improve your eating habits, the amount of stress that you feel actually improves. It's weird, but I promise you it'll happen. And then finally, sleep optimization, because unless you're really, really optimizing your sleep, nothing is going to work correctly. Imagine if you took the garbage out to your garbage can in the garage, but never took it out to the street, right? Your house might be clean, right? But eventually everything is going to start to get affected, right? And that's what happens during sleep, is we're able to get rid of our waste products. We're able to recover from the stress of the day. Our bodies are able to recuperate, right? So that's why we focus on sleep so significantly. But as we look at the Well12 program, the central tenet of it is the diet. And the diet has 3 phases. The first phase is the first 2 days that we call the ramp-up phase. The second 6 weeks are the ensuing 6 weeks, I should say, are what we call the release phase. And then finally we have the following 6 weeks of the reintroduction phase. And I'll get into each of these shortly. So the ramp-up phase, we call these loading days. And what we're doing here, it sounds nuts, I know, but we're actually eating about 4,000 to 5,000 calories for 2 days. Now, why on earth does that make sense? Well, what we're doing is leveraging something called the thermogenic effect of food. Basically, if your body senses more energy, initially it doesn't want to lay it down as fat, it wants to burn that energy off. So, if you're not exercising, what it does is it increases your temperature. You generate more heat. And that revs up your metabolism and gives us that running start as we get into the next phase, which is called the release phase. So during the release phase, we're employing something called time-restricted eating. You may have heard of intermittent fasting. This is one version of intermittent fasting where you fast for 16 hours and you eat 2 meals in an 8-hour window. And what we're trying to do there is prime your body to use fat as its primary source of fuel. Most of the times we're eating throughout the day, so your body never really needs to do this. But after you've fasted for at least 12 hours, your body goes into this mode where it starts torching through fat for calories. And that's where we get this fat loss preferred over muscle mass loss. During the 6 weeks of the release, we employ our foundational diet, which is 4 ounces of certain proteins, 4 ounces of certain what I call core vegetables, and 4 ounces of fruits. Now, the protein we want you to have, because your body needs protein to function. Everybody, who doesn't like protein, right? But certain types of beef, certain cuts of beef, certain types of fish, certain types of chicken, certain cuts of pork are important because they will help your body work correctly. The core vegetables are vegetables chosen specifically, not just because they're healthy, but they're healing. They give you the micronutrients that your body needs, minerals, vitamins, and what are called phytonutrients that your body needs to heal, very high in antioxidants and B vitamins and things that help your body work correctly. And similarly, the fruits are very important because we want you to get high antioxidant loads. So I love berries for this. Strawberries, blueberries, blackberries are awesome. But we also want to give you that sensation of sweetness because we want your body to feel satiated. We don't want your body to feel stressed out. And I know 4, 4, and 4 doesn't sound like a lot, 12 ounces of food, so what you can actually do then is leverage something I call free vegetables. These are other vegetables that you can eat that will help give you bulk, give you the vitamins and nutrients that you need, but also keep you from feeling hungry. Now, during this release phase, no exogenous fats are allowed, so we teach you how to cook without oil or without butter so that your body can really focus on using the fuel at hand. And during this time, we want to try to avoid snacking or exercise because we want your body to be able to recover completely from digestion, and we don't want to induce inflammation from significant exercise. Now, if you're going for walks, you're doing like swimming or anything like that, that's okay. And if you join the program, or I should say when you join the program, you can speak to your coaches directly about what that might look like for you. Now, these are some examples of sample meals, and you can see if you're eating correctly, if you're using the right vegetables, eating the right proteins, this ends up being quite a bit of food. And oftentimes, towards the end of the 12-week period, I'll have people ask me, do I really need to eat 2 meals? Because their bodies are so just fat adapted that they're able to just survive on 1 meal. Spoiler alert, yes, we want you to eat 2 meals because we want you to maintain muscle mass, but it's just amazing how the body adapts so quickly. Now, the reintroduction phase is, as I mentioned, that second 6-week period where we are now reintroducing foods back to your body. And this is important because we want to see personally what affects you. So over the course of that 6-week period, you'll be working with your coach to slowly reintroduce foods in a deliberate fashion back into your diet. We start with healthy fats, starchy veggies, grains if you want, carbs and gluten if you want, to see how your body responds. And we will teach you how to track your body, how to see when something is not working correctly. Now, what do you get as part of the program? Well, we do a lot to try and support you in the program in Well12. So you will be assigned a coach, an actual human, not some robot on the other end, that's helping guide you through the program. We use a software that's available on your phone, on your laptop, on your tablet computer that will be your central repository for all things Well12. You'll be logging your food in there, so you'll be keeping track of all your foods. The software actually helps calculate what your calorie counts are, not that we follow that at all. If you're eating healthy, everything will follow. We will have you interact with your coach through there. You get a body composition scale, so not just something that tells you your weight, but tells you fat percentage, muscle mass, hydration level, all these things. And that information, if you have iPhone, if you have Apple Health, will actually drift into the Practice Better software. Additionally, everyone gets a Whoop band that I mentioned, so that's a wearable bracelet that you can have that helps track your sleep, that helps track your stress levels, and helps guide the coaches how to best approach your health. You get a food scale as part of the program because I don't want you guessing at what to do. We want to be very specific about this. So we will give you the food scale so you can measure out exactly the 4 ounces of food that you need. You get the Reset Manual, which is a book that I've written that gives you all the information about what are the right cuts of meat, what are the type of fish, the core vegetables, the free vegetables, all of these things. But it also, most importantly, has a recipe guide in the back. So about 40 pages or so of recipes, of starter recipes really, of things that you can start with, and then you can whittle down the Well12 program into things that you like, or for those of you who are more experimenty, more brave, to actually branch out on your own and try new things and try different spices and try different cuts of meat to see what works best for you. Now, we do have one supplement we take called the Reset Drops that help your body balance that stress response. You're going to only use these for the first 6 weeks, but they really improve the way that your body functions and gets you fat adapted. Now, remember I talked about shared learning. So Saturday mornings, every morning at 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. Pacific, we hold live sessions with me or one of my team members where we'll answer question and answer. So it's a rapid fire, almost like a study hall where you can ask any questions. But also we have some didactics. We're teaching you about how to optimize your breath, how to optimize mitochondrial function, what is environmental health, what are the sorts of things that you need to be doing to optimize your sleep. So we're teaching, and we keep that kind of fun. Saturday morning, it's kind of fun times. Weekly recorded lectures inside Practice Better. So these are 12 lectures that are recorded that drip out to you week over week to help teach you. They give you that owner's manual to the body that you never had. And then additionally, we have a Well12 Facebook group that's for members only, so only for people who are part of the Well12 program, so you can share your experiences, learn from everybody else, and really get the most out of it. Now, I should mention, if Saturday morning at 8 a.m. doesn't work for you, all sessions are recorded and transmitted out later. So if you can't be there live, you can be there afterwards. This is what our software looks like. So this is the Practice Better software, if I can get it to play. And basically what you'll do here is you're able to log in your food, your breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It's very simple to use. You'll get used to it after a while. But very simply, you just type in, here I'm typing in blueberries. So you type in the food that you want to eat or that you're about to eat. You put in your servings. So here you put in 4 ounces of blueberries, for instance. It'll automatically make all the calculations that you need, and you can aggregate that data. If you have certain foods that you eat all the time, you can add them to your favorites so you don't have to keep typing again and again and again. This is also where you can keep track of lifestyle habits. As I mentioned, if you're an Apple person, fortunately weights will automatically glide through here. If you're an Android person, you have to manually put these in. But if you're so inclined, you can also keep track of your sleep, of your stress, of your exercise, all of those things in the Practice Better software. And finally, I guess I'm putting back in that I had some steak on this day, and again, it calculates your macronutrients. But initially here, this is where you're going to be able to speak with your coaches. This is where you're going to be able to have that one-on-one conversation. It is a secure server, HIPAA compliant, all the things, so you don't have to worry about sharing anything that you don't want to share if you don't want to. So in resources, you get the manual, you get the Practice Better app, you get all those Saturday sessions, again, that are recorded, you have the Facebook group, and of course, you've got access to me, Dr. Sanjay, right? So what will you become? Well, I've had now over 100 people, almost 200 people through the program, and it's amazing the transformations that we see. People become more confident. In fact, that happened to me. Believe it or not, as a physician, as a doctor, my health was falling apart. And I realized that as I was taking control of my health, as I was eating the foods that really gave me a lot of health, as I was seeing the scale change, which I'll share with you in a moment, as I was seeing the improvement in my health, I felt more confident in what I was doing. And that just kind of floated into all aspects of my life. My wife did the program with me, and if you have someone special in your life, a partner, a spouse, anything like that, I would encourage you to have him or her, or they, do the program with you, because it's always better to have accountability, but it's so much better to have a partner to share this experience with. When my wife and I did it, we became so much closer. We couldn't wait in the morning to hop on the scale after we went to the bathroom first thing in the morning to see each other's progress and really become each other's cheerleaders. Now, as I mentioned, I created this for myself, and I'll share with you the first time I did it, what my experience was. So this was almost a few years ago now, and what you can see is just with diet alone, I did not exercise during this time, but you can see day over day how I was losing about half a pound a day. That initial drop is a significant drop in inflammatory fluid and inflammation. As I mentioned, it just ruins your body, right? This little gap here towards the end of this 4-week session, or 4-week period, was when I actually had to go out of town. So I didn't bring my body scale, I didn't bring my food scale, but I taught myself how to eat correctly. And even though I was out of town at a conference eating correctly, you can still see the improvement that I had day over day with the program. And these are my before and after pictures. So on the left side is the before, and you can see, like most guys have, it's the dad bod, right? It's that belly that pushes out. It's the chins that get in the way of breathing at nighttime, right? You can even see my gray hair was pretty significant. And the right side of the screen is the after. So you can see now, my double chin got better. My hair became less gray because I was eating so much antioxidants. And importantly, if you see this little side cut that happens there, I've never been in danger of having a six-pack, but what that shows is a loss of what's called visceral fat, the fat around your organs. And in fact, I'm so nerdy, I had it measured before and after. I did something called the DEXA scan, which is, most people know that as a scan of your bone health, but it's actually the most accurate way to measure how much body fat percentage you have. And my visceral fat, which is the fat that leads to insulin resistance, which is the fat that leads to abnormal signaling between your brain and your gut that confuses your body as to how much to eat, that in women leads to estrogen imbalances and progesterone imbalances and all these things. My visceral fat actually went down by 60%, right? So as a result, my numbers got better, my cholesterol came down, my blood pressure came down, my sleep improved. When my sleep improved because my airway opened up, well, after I lost weight, my wife's sleep improved because she didn't have to hear me sawing logs next to her. So everything just got a lot better for both of us. But it's not just about weight loss, right? This is one of the nurses who did the program, who's just a dear friend of mine. And she came to me not so much because she had weight as an issue, but she just had tons of inflammation everywhere. Her hands, you can see, were breaking out. She was getting neck issues to the point that she thought she might need a neck surgery. Her hair was breaking. Her scalp was getting flaky. All these things. And just by simply changing her diet, improving her sleep, and improving her stress, this is what she looked like just a brief 6 weeks later. So you can see the significant improvement in her skin because now we reduced inflammation. And she learned through the program what foods she was sensitive to, and that's really where her change came. So, we've had so many people through here, and again, the successes are, they just add up. This is a gentleman that did the program a few years ago, Charles, who just said he was shocked at the results. He had been diabetic for 25 years and was just at his wit's end. He was on 3 medications plus an injectable medicine for his diabetes. And within the first 2 weeks, we actually had to work with his team of doctors to reduce his medication. We almost got him off of all medicines. He ended up taking a half a tablet of one of his medications, got off of the injectable, and did absolutely great. This was another woman here, Elizabeth, who did the program, that in the first 2 weeks lost 13 pounds, but her energy improved, her arthritis improved, she was going through the perimenopause kind of time, her hot flashes got better, and she ended up losing 38 pounds in the program. I just talked to her a few days ago, and she said she's never going back. Well12 has become her lifestyle. And then finally, this is another woman, Lori, who is in her mid-70s, and she had tried everything, Weight Watchers, Lindora, all these other things, and she kind of had yo-yo dieting for years. And finally, when she came upon Well12, she really enjoyed that holistic approach. Again, not just focusing on what foods to eat, but also focusing on sleep, focusing on stress, focusing on improving her overall lifestyle. And that's really what led to her improvement. And she's been with us now in the program, in our extension program, for over a year now, and she has maintained her weight loss. Pretty impressive. So I really hope that was an introduction for Well12 that you enjoyed. Let's get on a discovery call. If you're interested in seeing what Well12 can do for you, let's hop on a call. Let's meet with me or one of my team members, and let's get you healed as quickly as possible. Let's get you to become the best version of you as soon as we can. And that change can start today. Have a great day. I'm Dr. Sanjay, and I look forward to talking to you soon.